And we are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. It's Recruiting Edition, also known as the Shrivel Freaking Pod. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. And if you're not a member of that site, man, this is a perfect time to get signed up. We got a big time flash sale going on right now. $1 for 4 months. Yeah, $1 for 4 months. No kidding. Or 50% off an annual. Can't beat it. It's like a cute puppy. I always want to say a sore pecker, but I always think that might get me in trouble. Anyway, I am joined today, as I always am on the Shrivel Pod, by Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston. Jhead, how you doing, big dog?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. Thinking about refinancing my my membership there, dropping back down to that $1 somehow. But other than that, man, I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to the discussion today, and got some interesting trivia notes for you guys at the end of the show. So we'll see if we can guess that coach.
Interesting. Cole, how about yourself, man? How you doing?
Well, I'm more excited now that I know we got trivia at the end of this thing.
No doubt. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And if y'all been under the Auburn recruiting rock, you will know, unless you have been under the rock, you know that Keith Neighbor, Auburn recruiting guru, Keith Neighbor has joined Auburn Live on 3, been killing it, and we are absolutely ecstatic to have him as a member of the team, and I know our subscribers are too. So this is, like I said, this is about the best time you can find to sign up for Auburn Live on 3. You've got the flash sale going on, and right now with Keith coming on board, we've had content continuously, and it's been fantastic. The intel, the insiders, I don't know how many insiders we've had in the past 24 hours. Big news last night. I was getting ready to go to bed. Keith was texting me, man, there was 5-star Quay Russell and 5-star James Smith both setting official visits to Auburn for June 24th, which we were expecting that. If you were at the War Room on Monday, and I think we talked about that before. I think Cole thrown that at me at some point last week or two. But big weekend again. We just came off of a huge weekend. We're going into another big weekend. 9 guys are scheduled right now to come in for an official visit. And let's see. I know you've got the 4 guys from Langston Hughes. Bo Hughley, the 4-star tackle, is committed to Georgia's coming in. You've got Jelani Thurman, the 4-star tight end from Langston Hughes. You've got Joshua Horton, the 3-star defensive tackle. Terrence Love, the Auburn commitment, is going to come over for an unofficial visit. Then you've got Hunter Osborne, 4-star defensive lineman from Hewitt-Trussville. You've got Jakeem Jackson.
Yes.
Little known 3-star defensive back from, is it Kissimmee or Kissimmee?
Kissimmee.
That's what I said.
Who's the other Auburn player that's been from there? Has there been another one?
T-Bell.
His cousin.
Desharvin Bell.
T-Bell.
T-Bell. Keldrick Falk, 4-star edge, is coming in. Reuben Bain, 4-star edge, is coming up from Miami. Am I leaving anyone out? DJ Chester.
DJ Chester, yeah.
DJ Chester, CJ Allen, both 4-stars at their position. See, so huge weekend right now. That's 9 right now, as far as I know. And I did some checking before I came on the show. That is the list for now. Obviously, people could reschedule. People could be added, but as of Thursday afternoon, those are the guys expected to come in on Friday. Now, a week ago, we saw Jayden Asbury come in. This is since our last Shrivel Pod. Jayden Asbury, 4-star linebacker. Jamal Jarrett, 4-star defensive tackle. Brock Glenn came in for his official visit, and Jeffrard came in for an official visit, big offensive lineman from Georgia. And also, let's not forget about Tassila Akana.
Yeah.
The 4-star top 100 edge, originally from Hawaii. I think he's now in Utah. He came in for an unofficial visit on Friday. I think Cole talked to him when he left. Cole, you were there Friday for Akana. We're there Sunday for these official visits, man. What did you think about the weekend and some of the guys Auburn might have made a move for?
Yeah, Akana, man, he's been one of my favorite interviews for so far. First of all, he's just a fun guy to talk to. He wanted to hang out and talk, and the whole family was real nice. And I asked him, and I said, "Does the family feel at Auburn?" That's kind of the that's the thing we hear a lot from recruits. I said, what was that like? Did you feel welcome? He goes, oh man, it was great. Coach Rockbill and Tony, all the coaches, he said, they walked me out. I mean, everything, they were so nice to my family. He said, I'm really gonna come back here. I'm gonna officially visit here. So we're waiting to see if that's going to happen. He's got a lot of schools calling his name. He said he's got 40 plus offers. Just a tall, perfect frame edge guy from Hawaii. I mean, he's highly wanted. So that was good getting him on campus. And now that he wants to return, that's huge update there. So many edge targets. I mean, gosh, there's a bunch of edge targets that are out there that are studs. So yeah, I mean, that, and then you had the official visitors, Jayden Asbury, Ian Jaffrard. I would say those two Auburn leads for. Who else was there this weekend?
Brock Glenn.
Yeah, Brock Glenn. I'd say Auburn still leads for Brock Glenn, even though he's still getting attention from Ohio State, Florida, some of the big schools. So, yeah, it was a big weekend. I think it's going to be an even bigger weekend this weekend. Oh, Jamal Jarrett. That was another one.
Well, as to Jhead, what do you think about Jamal Jarrett?
Love that. And, of course, Keith had a great piece. I want to make sure that we give him some love here on that. As far as the versatility of how the coaching staff sees him, I more or less had him pegged as a pure nose tackle. They see him as having the versatility to swing up and down the defensive line of playing the 3-tech, playing the nose, maybe even going out and playing a 5-tech. But loved his comments.
He's so athletic.
Yeah, he is. And large.
Yeah. And it's just, here's the other thing about him. The fact that he's wanting to come back already and said 2 different occasions, hey, I want to come down with my friend Sadir Mitchell, who's a huge target for us, and I want to come back for Big Cat Weekend at the end of July. So what that tells me is he's not on verge of committing to Georgia, who I would probably say is the favorite as of today. But that means that he's not in the mindset of, hey, I'm going to be pulling the trigger right now, which is a good thing for us because we got in that recruitment a little bit late. Yeah. The more time, the more visits we get him on campus, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, actually, it was a weird recruitment. He was the guy who was like, hey, Auburn, I'm interested. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. All right, then. And that stemmed from his relationship with Inichi Sledge. But talking about, we talked about Auburn's visits coming up this weekend. There's some other visits of kids that Auburn's recruiting, visiting elsewhere. Jamal Jarrett is going to Georgia this weekend. Quay Russell, James Smith are the 17th. I'm sorry. Who was the other one? Brock Glenn. When is he going to
Florida State this weekend?
And probably he's working on getting an Ohio State OB too, and that could happen the next weekend if he still wants to stick to his plan, which was what he told us that weekend was he wants to get it done before the Elite 11, which is the beginning of July. So,
June 28th.
June 28th, which is my birthday. So, yeah, cool.
Interesting. 40 looks good on you, Cole.
Appreciate it.
We definitely need to stuff Mike Norvell and Ryan Day in a locker on that one. We landing Brock Glenn would be huge for this class.
Let's see who else is coming in or going out this weekend. I thought there was Dakar Nelson. Dakar Nelson is going to Penn State. Just had an update on him. 4-star safety from Selma. Kind of been a roller coaster recruitment as far as interest from Auburn. As far as I knew, like he might have been a top target and a high priority all along. I didn't know that. Or if he was, I didn't know that. And I don't know that he was because I'd been checking on him. But he came to camp Monday, was very impressive. Auburn gave him a lot of love. He won defensive back MVP. He's going to come back for an official visit. But this weekend he's going to Penn State. And Keith posted on the corner today, our message board on Auburn Live on 3, that Penn State feels like they got a really, really good shot with him. And they probably do. I mean, they probably do feel that way. But he's going to come back to Auburn. You got to like Auburn. I think Tennessee's involved, Clemson's involved, and Texas just recently got involved for him. So those are kind of his top 5 schools. But a lot of official visits going on, not just at Auburn. And we'll be tracking all of those at Auburn Live on 3. Let's turn to this weekend, guys. Coming in Friday. I mean, we read the list. What are you going to be looking for, Jhead?
I'm going to be looking for how does this visit affect Keldrick Falk? He's coming off – edge is a massive need in this class. He's a kid that's extremely talented, very athletic, fits everything that we need from that edge position. He's a kid that's very close in proximity to Auburn. He's just had his first official visit to Clemson. Now it's our opportunity to kind of counterpunch. He's been on campus before, but an official visit is different. And can we get that family feel to him? Can we show him the importance that he brings to this class, and not only of what he's going to do for our roster and the ability to play right away, but what he can do of bringing other guys with him in this class. So Keldrick Faulk's a big one for me that I'm going to be following. Really love the cornerback, Jakeem Jackson. I think he's a kid that's going to continue to rise up the rankings. Got great height, length, very good hips. You see him when you watch his highlights. He can play multiple coverages, whether he's in press or off man. Also looks like he's run some zones, so he's comfortable doing a lot of different things in the secondary. I think he would be a big piece to add to this class. It gives you some flexibility moving forward if you can slam that one. And then also, DJ Chester. I would love to get another piece on this offensive line in this class sooner rather than later. I think he's a fantastic player. Me and Cole have been high on him since we watched his highlights. He's only continued to rise in the rankings, and I think he will continue to do so. He's just a kid that provides a lot of versatility, could play right tackle, could play guard. So those are the three guys I'm really watching this weekend as to what happens with them. We make a move. Can we close them out by July? That's what I'm hoping for.
Cole, what about yourself, man?
Well, first of all, I'm absolutely with you on Chester Jhead. I think that guy is not talked about enough. I think he's a big time. I really think that Auburn likes him a lot, probably up there with, old McElderry and Hughley and some of those guys. I think he's in that level.
I think so too.
That's a huge visit this weekend that we haven't talked enough about, I think. I think we need to talk more about him. And I really think Auburn's probably in good shape there. I don't really know who else is a huge threat. I know Auburn likes him, and I know he likes Auburn. So that's just what we know going into the visit, and I think we'll find out a lot more when he gets done this weekend too.
So the other teams that I know that are in the mix are Florida State, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. Those are your other three big teams that are also in the mix for Chester. I've been kind of doing some research there. And my bad, Jeffrey, I know I cut you off, but I did want to jump in and say there is some legitimate competition for DJ Chester.
Yeah, definitely. I would think so because he's that kind of guy for sure.
I'm going to take the Langston Hughes quartet.
Yep.
Man, there's been so much momentum for Auburn, so much excitement for Auburn, so much buzz for Auburn around them. You've already gotten Terrence Love, who kind of a roller coaster there. He was going to commit, then he wasn't going to commit, then he did commit, and now he's going to come back on campus with Josh Horton, who I think he. What did I say about Josh? Did he commit? I mean, did he get a new offer
from Florida?
Yeah, he's got
he added Florida. That's right.
Yes.
So we kind of expected this, right? I mean, we didn't think he was going to be this lower ranked recruit for long. Some people think he should be a 4-star and will end up being a 4-star before it's over with. Jelani Thurman, Bo Hughley, Josh Horton, all guys that I want to talk to Bo when he leaves. I want to see what he says there. I know what he told me last week, and it's kind of been up and down for him with Auburn, but I really think he wants to be at Auburn, and I want to see if Auburn really wants him to be at Auburn. Because if they want him to be at Auburn, and those three guys, Jelani, Josh, commit, it's going to be interesting. So and Auburn could certainly and is in a position right now to flip him if they want to, as well as McElderry, two offensive line guys from Georgia, which will be huge. And we talked about. I don't know that we talked about it because it was last week, but Prentice Nolan, the 2024 quarterback, Auburn they watched him at camp last Friday and was like, he's number one.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
He's number one, and I think we talked about this last week or the week before, but I was leery of how he would if he was the Harsin type quarterback, because when I see a lefty like him, tall, lean, quick, can run, I'm not thinking Michael Vick or anything, but I'm thinking more of a dual threat guy.
Yeah.
But man, he was the little that I watched. I mean, our heads were spinning at that camp that afternoon. Talking a lot on the side, but the little that I saw of him, that he can throw it. He's good.
He can really spin it, Jeffrey. I mean, I've been very impressed with his highlights of what I've seen, and I know Coach Boone, his high school coach, is extremely high on what he can be. They don't even think he's even close to a finished product at this point. So how does he progress from his junior year to his senior year? They think he can continue to get better. I got to think that Harson's seeing the same thing.
I think that's the best thing about him, Jhead. When you look at the guys they've taken out of the portal and some of these guys, they trust their evaluations. They know what they're seeing, and they feel like they're the way that they can, make them better when they get on campus with the tools they have. I think that's the way they go about things. And especially with quarterbacks, I think Brock Glenn we've talked about him being really good, but he's not a finished product. Neither is Holden Gerner. But they have the tools that fit what they want to do. So those are the guys they will, put all their eggs in their basket for, so to speak, and bring them in and mold them the way they want to. That's just, they can see things differently than the way we might see things because they're not finished products yet. So that's the way they're going to do it, live or die by it, which is, I think that's fine.
A couple of guys we have added in the last week to official visitors to the official visit list coming up. June 17th, we only had Connor Lew at one point. Now you've got Lewis Carter. I think we had Lewis Carter last week. But David Hobbs, 4-star defensive lineman from another 4-star defensive lineman, North Carolina, coming in the 17th. Jeremiah Cobb confirmed that he's coming in next weekend. The running back from Montgomery, who just came off of a Clemson visit. And then Anthony James, 4-star defensive lineman from Texas, who was he was committed to Texas A&M?
Yes.
He was.
Yeah,
decommitted. He's coming in, and shit, man. And I'm sure there'll be more. That's 2, 4. That's 5 guys, and then Deron Reeves coming in for another 4-star defense. Dude, Jimmy Brumbaugh is killing it, man. At least getting these guys to visit, right? I mean, you've got 10 4-star defensive linemen right now, and you hope you can get 2 of them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing to me. And look, I think we all should have expected this because Auburn recruits itself somewhat. But last year, how new this staff was and how they were just not necessarily able to touch base with the caliber of athlete that we are accustomed to recruiting at Auburn.
Fair.
I mean, I think they were in on some really great kids. I think they ended up signing some fantastic kids. But at the very beginning, it was, very touch and go with, Auburn being able to circulate its name amongst the elite of the elite. That's not an issue this year. I mean, this weekend, you're getting represented by the states of Georgia, Florida, and Auburn, and and Alabama, and it's a huge, it's a who's who list of prospects from those states, and you're talking about SEC battles for each and every one of those prospects. It's not like we're fighting Texas Tech for kids. You're fighting Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, the big dogs. We're not going against the North Carolinas this year.
Mississippi State.
The Mississippi States. We're going head to head with the guys that we want to be better than each and every year.
Yep. And we say it every week, but everybody wants the commitments. And man, some are going to come.
Yes.
Some of these guys, man, it's all going to come down to this fall, in my opinion. The class, say what you want, get them on visits, whatever. But man, if Auburn can win and make noise this fall, they've positioned themselves for an incredible recruiting class, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think it's just showing them stability, Jeffrey. I mean, I think if
biggest concern,
is the perception of instability from other coaching staffs talking about Auburn. They're deterring some of these kids potentially from going ahead and probably making a verbal commitment. But if we show that progress and upward trajectory on the field this fall, I'm with you. I think we get to about 10 commitments before the season starts. And then after the season starts, if we win those first 4 or 5 ball games and we're rolling and Zach Calzada's looking good, guess what, guys? You're about to see us turn it up on the trail a whole nother level. I firmly believe that. I'm with you, Jeffrey. I mean, and you're talking close to a top 10 class, if not a top 10 class.
Yeah, I think that's the ceiling, right? I mean, I'm not thinking top 5 or anything. You're not recruiting up there with Georgia, Alabama, A&M, Ohio State, even Clemson at this point. Those are going to be your top 5, right? I think the ceiling here is 8 to 12.
Yes, I think that's a great range.
Absolutely. And look, let's just say in this first 5 games, you drop one to an LSU or a Penn State. Even if that were to happen, you still have there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with the coaches talking to guys and getting them on campus so many times. They're obviously laying out their plan for them very well, and they're listening to it. If they can see that on the field, even if you drop one of those games, one of those early games, those are things the fans don't pick up on, but the players will go, "Oh, I saw. That's exactly what they told me." When I was on this visit. That's going to be a big difference too, and those are the things we can't quite calculate. It's the things that the players know what they're looking for. And I think just to me, that's why the visits have been so important, because they're on the boards, they're going in the offices and the meeting rooms, and they're seeing all this for themselves. They got to see it on the field, even if you lose a couple of games like that. So do you have to win? You really need to get up in that top 10 range, but you also have that going too, right?
Yeah, and I think it's somewhat showing progress too. Okay, it's not just wins and losses, but does the offense look better than last year? Does it look more efficient? Or are we scoring at a higher clip? The defense, did they take a step forward in the back end? All those things that recruits are looking at, like you said, how can they be featured? Are guys getting drafted at position? Is playing time available? So all of those things are factors that come into play. But from a stability standpoint, like you said, Cole, if we can get to that 7-win, 8-win territory, and it's like, hey, Coach Harson's got this program in the right direction. We're trending correctly. This is only going on the up. That's going to give kids the green light to say, you know what, I want to be a part of this. This is something special.
Yeah. I think guys too, like maybe Kai Preen, who has an official visit set up for a game this fall, who Auburn seems to be trending for right now. He's a guy that maybe fits the role of what they want to do with Coy Moore, who they just picked up. So you see how that goes. Coy Moore's a guy from the same area of the country. I think every little move means something to these guys. I think they're paying attention. Were they paying attention that closely last year? Maybe not to a T. I think that's what the difference has been when people ask us that. What's the difference? They're really getting them in there and getting them to pay attention to every little move. And I think that's important.
And, that football only facility will be up.
Yeah.
Yeah. When is it going to be ready, Cole? Didn't you write something about that today?
Well, they just put out today that there'd be more updates coming in the next week on progress and construction. So
I thought at one point it was supposed to be ready by August or in August.
I think it is supposed to be ready by the fall, right?
Yeah.
I think right now the last update I got from a friend that's a little bit tied into that situation is it's probably October, November-ish.
Yeah.
We could move in during the season, but I don't think Harsin wants to do that. They're probably going to wait till January now to move in, January of 2023. So that's probably going to be the official move-in date. But I think construction will be complete and probably open for being able to be toured for official visits, things of that nature, probably in November.
They probably won't get the practice field and all that stuff going until after the season, if I had to imagine, coaches' offices, things like that. But they'll have it up and running, though, I would think.
I wrote about it. Of course, we all have here recently, but I thought, man, that thing's supposed to be ready in 2 months. Nothing ever gets built on time, does it?
No, not these days. No.
Don't even get me started on road work. Auburn, the city of Auburn waits all fall, spring long, and then when the college kids go home, and it's a beautiful, nice town, and you can drive up through Toomer's Corner without a bunch of idiots. That's when all the construction starts. So I'll just leave it at that. The last weekend in June 24th, we mentioned Quay Russell. James Smith, 2 5-star defensive lineman from Montgomery. They set their official visits. This is who's coming in for that weekend. Talk about defensive line. James Smith, Quay Russell, Jamal Jarrett. That's the weekend he's coming back. And he's even going to camp, I think, that Friday.
Yeah.
Sydir Mitchell's coming down. His buddy from New Jersey's coming down. 4-star defensive lineman. I think he is a top 300 guy.
Yes.
And then you've got Phil Picciotti coming down from Pennsylvania. He's a 3-star guy, but Auburn loves that kid.
Yep.
Loves that kid. Hopes they can get him locked in. But
he might actually be moving up the board right now since D. Creighton just committed to Clemson there. So
expected to, right? I don't think he's going public with it.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. I've been on and off past 24 hours, so I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. And then we talked about this guy a lot. Because he was one of the first to set an official visit, and he's really high on Auburn. But since everything else has been going on the last couple of weeks, he's kind of fallen. But Clay Wheaton's coming. He's finally come. He's coming back.
Yeah.
Big offensive lineman from Florida, coming back in from Tampa, coming back to Auburn that weekend. So, and there's going to be more for that weekend. I think Auburn is expecting a very, very big weekend, the last weekend in June. Definitely things to keep.
I think so too. Yeah,
to track there. As far as commitments go, I know Jhead's got him got his list ready. Everybody wants to know how many commitments before the end of June. We've said, hey, let's extend that to August the 1st.
Yes,
I think. As a matter of fact, Jhead, you just said you thought 10 by September.
Yes, 10 by September 1st. That's what I think.
So let's see. I've got a couple that I expect in the next 6 weeks. What about you?
Yeah, I got 2 or 3.
I got 5.
Okay. Before we go on, for people who are not listening, Cole brought up a good point. D. Creighton is expected to commit to Clemson. He was supposed to come in this weekend to visit Auburn, canceled that visit, presumably because he's made a commitment to Clemson. And I checked with my guys behind the scenes, and that's exactly what has happened. Well, I'm sure he'll announce it soon, but he was going to come in. There were going to be 10 guys this weekend. D. Creighton is no longer coming. Cole mentioned the linebacker board. Then I think that moves up guys like Picciotti. I think he's the top 5 guy anyways. But Jeremiah Tellender,
yes,
was a name that was thrown at me after the D. Creighton news had started to leak. But let's get back to the commitments. The thing everybody wants to hear about. Cole, let me start with you. You've got a couple.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here, Jhead? What's our parameters here of discussion?
So parameters for discussion is between now and the beginning of fall camp. So let's go between now and I guess fall camp starts August 4th?
Yeah, early August. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, and we're going specific here, right? The guys we think will be in the class by that time.
Yes, the guys we think will be in the class by that time.
Despite me saying on the live show Tuesday night that there is concern for Brock Glenn, I'm going to go with Brock Glenn being in the class in the month of July or, June 28th when he said he was going to go. I think that'll happen still. You want me to go ahead and go with all of my guys that I'm thinking of right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Cole.
Okay. So Brock Glenn, I think Jeremiah Cobb will be in the class before that time. I'm watching Jayden Asbury closely. I just don't know when he's going to make his decision, but it could be before August. He's one of the ones that would be on my list right now. I think DJ Chester, a guy who's coming in this weekend, offensive lineman from, I believe he's from Conyers, Georgia, Eagles Landing Christian. Yeah. I think it's really a 3-team race with him. You name some guys. Jhead, I think LSU was in there at one point. I'm not sure they are anymore. I think Auburn's the team that just stands out, and I think he doesn't want to wait too long. So I'll go with Chester and Josh Horton.
Okay.
And those are my picks. Was that 4? 4.
5.
Was it 5?
Brock, Cobb, Asbury, Chester, and Horton.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about Asbury, but I wanted to bring him up just because
he's one of those guys. To me, it's when and not if.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be December, Jeffrey, but I think he's in the class.
Yeah, you're probably right, Jhead. I'm gonna drop him out just for that reason, but I feel pretty good about Auburn there.
Brock, Cobb, DJ Chester, Horton. I cannot wait until Brock Glenn gets a jump in the rankings.
He should, right?
He's coming. I saw it happen on another side already. I think.
Okay.
I think it's going to be coming. Probably, if I had to guess, our good friend and friend of the site, Thad Simmons, is probably going to wait to lay eyes on him at the Elite 11 finals. If I had to guess,
probably so.
And once if he does what I think he's capable of doing there, I think he's going to get a much needed rise in the rankings.
And I'm okay with that, only because of what happened with Holden last year. You don't want to see a guy go out there and tank just after making him a 4-star.
Exactly. So I think they're probably going to protect themselves a little bit there.
I'm okay with that. With that.
He will rise in the consensus rankings if he's going up.
I was going to say, who was it, Jhead, that
Rivals jumped him to the number 205 player in the country and a 5.84 star.
Right on. I see it now. Rivals 204, which is no one else has him nationally ranked.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
Rivals getting out in front, which is an anomaly, I guess.
No, Farrell's gone, man.
Well, I know as well as anybody, dude. I worked there for a long time. They dragged their feet a lot. So good for them. Good for them. All right, Jhead, what you got, big dog?
Okay, so I'm going to second Cole on Brock Glenn. Like I said, I think we slam Mike Norvell in the locker and get Brock Glenn. Come June the 28th-ish, somewhere in that territory, I do think that he visits Ohio State, but relationships will play themselves out. I think he's a relationship kid. I think Auburn really kind of set the tone for his recruitment with that official visit. And because of the late offer by Ohio State and the fact they're pursuing another kid that's committed to Baylor, I just feel like he knows that Auburn's sold on him. So we're going to get that one. The next one, if he stays, well, I'm going to go with you, J. Lee, because I think this kid's going to make a decision. I'm going to go with Rockwez McElderry as a flip from Georgia at the end of the month.
I considered him. I really did. I wasn't ready to go there yet, but I do like where Auburn sits.
On my piece that I put together on the board on reading the offensive line room, I had him still staying with Georgia. After talking to somebody today and Jay Lee's confidence, I'm going to change that pick and say that he flips into the class. Now, that could all change because he's visiting Georgia this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, he may shut everything down afterwards. If he doesn't, I really like that prediction. The next player, if he stays true to his commitment timeline, is going to be Josh Horton.
Yeah.
After that, I'm going to go with Jelani Thurman because I think he's set to commit at the end of July. And then after him, I'm going to go Jeremiah Cobb. That's my 5. I got 2 bonus guys that may or may not pull the trigger. Obviously, one is a main man from Louisiana, Kai Preen. I'm going to be on watch for him because I think there's a distinct possibility he commits. If he visits for Big Cat Weekend, like I think he could, I think there's a possibility he commits shortly thereafter. And then also Keldrick Falk. I think he's a guy that's going to do 4 OVs in the month of June and is probably going to shut down his recruitment shortly thereafter and make a decision.
I like it. I want to ask I think we talked about this with Preen, but he wants, I remember seeing him or being told that he was going to visit for the Penn State game.
Yes.
And that he was going to announce, I think it's at the end of July or before his senior season.
Before his senior season. That's what I saw, Jeff.
Okay. And if that's the case, I can't imagine him scheduling an official visit after his commitment unless it's to the school to which he's going to commit. He would definitely be on my list. I know.
Yeah.
I've got him in the class come mid-August. Unless he goes, Coach, I'm committed, but I want to wait until I come, whatever. I think he's a done deal right now. I think McElderry, man, it's just, it would take a lot this weekend for Georgia, I think, to change his mind, because I think right now he's planning on flipping his commitment. I think he is planning on flipping his commitment to Auburn as we sit here today. And I think it will take a lot from Georgia this weekend to make him change. Now, don't put it past him.
No.
Don't put it past him. So
No.
don't take this as gospel, because anytime you're dealing with Georgia, Alabama, those guys, man, you never know.
I think everybody listening that's going to be listening at that part is going to go, and where's the catch?
Yeah. There it is. But that's how I feel about McElderry. I'm gonna have to say his name right at least once a show. I really think he is Auburn's to lose right now, and they certainly could this weekend. But as it stands, I've got McElderry on Auburn's commitment list come August the 1st.
Got it.
I like Jelani Thurman, Jhead. He was on my list. I like Jelani Thurman. I like Josh Horton. I like both of those guys.
Man, that's that would be. It's very realistic. It's those are names that were in my head as well. That would be a big haul right there before the season.
I'm not ready to put Bo Hughley on there yet.
No,
not ready. But he's certainly honorable mention right now. And timeline wise, I don't know, but flipping, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold off and see how this weekend visit go. Brock Glenn, absolutely automatic. Yes, I don't care. I don't care if Ohio State. I don't care.
I love it.
I don't care.
Love it.
I think it's awesome, dude. Go to visit Ohio State and come home and commit to Auburn.
Yes.
Cool with me, man. Cool with me. Now, somebody I was checking out Jeremiah Cobb. Has he set a date or even a timeline? Has he said the summer? That's the only thing holding me back from putting him on my list. I don't know when he's supposed to commit.
I don't think he's gonna make. He's not really the kind of guy that seems to make a whole lot of announcements. He's just gonna take care of his business.
Okay, so
the feeling with him, Jeffrey, is behind the scenes. He's not a kid that's going to carry this out much longer. That's kind of what I think Keith hinted at in his piece with regard to Jeremiah, or his crystal ball prediction, that he's probably going to see his top three teams in Clemson. He saw Clemson. He's going to see Auburn on the 17th, and he's supposed to also see Tennessee, I think, on the 24th. And after seeing those three teams, there's the likelihood that he can make a decision.
Okay. Yeah. All right. If he makes a commitment, I absolutely love Auburn there. Still, he went to Clemson last week. I don't care. He's going to Tennessee. I don't care. He's one of those guys I don't care. I just don't care. I mean, that he's going to other places.
I
think it's fantastic.
Just don't care.
Falk is another one. I've got Auburn for him. I don't know when.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm starting. Y'all are talking me into that one a little bit more too. And I really felt like he could be part of the class. I felt like that for a while. He's enjoying the recruitment process. Comes from a small town. I always say that because I know a lot about Highland Home. That's kind of my area, So I really think he would want to stay closer to home and go to Auburn. I really do.
Cole, I hear you on the small town business. I got busted on the board today on being from my hometown. So
yeah, I saw that.
Trust me, I hear you. And Elba's not a whole lot further away from Highland Home than
he said, "Man, that Jhead guy, he kind of looks familiar. I think I've seen him at the grocery store or something."
He saw his mugshot in the post office.
Saying we don't accept checks from this guy.
And sometimes he wears makeup over his left eye.
Well, you're wanted right now. You're trying to find that guy you whipped up on the other day. Huh?
Mm-hmm. The search continues, Cole.
The search continues.
I'm going to throw a wild card at you, man.
Go ahead.
Jakeem Jackson.
Oh.
You're not.
I'd love that.
The T-Bell connection certainly was an eye opener, I would say.
He's one of those guys to me that we haven't heard about him until a week ago. He shows up, visits, and then commits. And then you never hear about him again because he's already committed. And then he comes in and he's on special teams his freshman year and he's starting. He's a 3-year starter. I mean, those are you know what I mean? He's that he's played. He could easily play that role.
I agree.
Like, you don't hear about this kid. Then he comes in, then he commits, and then you don't hear about that kid.
It seems like there's always one like that, right?
Right. Caleb Wooden.
Well, yes.
Yeah, Caleb Wooden, yeah.
Caleb Wooden. So I'm going to put Jackson. He's my wild card. And he may wait till December. I don't know what his timeline is.
I'll tell you who the guy in last year's class was that plays that role for me. That just you didn't hear a whole lot about him, and he came out of nowhere, and then okay, he's on the commit list. All right, Amari Kelly. That would be my pick on that one.
Yeah, he showed up for Big Cat, and it was on after that.
Well, I mean, it was always understood that he liked Auburn, but he kind of went silent for a little while, and then boom, he's back in, and a week later, he's committed.
Well, and that was that when Corn was fired?
Yeah, it was after that.
Well, he committed before that, so he was.
He did. He committed.
Both in the class. We got Amari in the fold after Big Cat weekend when we brought him back in because you remember we brought him in to compete against Camden Brown at the wide receiver All-State Elite Camp, and Camden Brown.
That's right.
Played phenomenally. Then that kind of went sideways. And then we circled back on Amari, and then we got Camden in the class. So that was kind of how it went. But No, they committed to Corn.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And well, speaking of wide receivers, here is my kind of Jeremiah Cobb part 2. Like, I don't know what his timeline is. He's kind of quiet. You don't hear anything from him. But I would not be surprised to see Carmelo English if he does make a decision. I think Auburn's the team to beat for him. We don't even. I don't think he's been on the official. No, he's not on the official visit list. But you got to think he's going to take one. And we may not hear about it until he shows up or the week before.
Thanks to our guy on the message board, AU Mike BK. Y'all know who I'm talking about?
I sure do.
Yeah.
He gives us a rundown every week of where the top Auburn targets are visiting every week.
Oh.
Carmelo English will be at Kentucky this weekend.
Kentucky
is in the mix, but I'm with you on. I didn't say him because I have no idea what his timeline is. And I don't think anybody does. I think he likes it that way. But I would say Auburn. I still have my prediction on Auburn, and Keith joined in on that yesterday.
AU Mike BK, not CB.
It's AU MIC BK. I think it's BK.
Oh yeah, man. He posts all. He posts all kind of good stuff, man.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's got us. He's doing a great job keeping all those visits together. So I guess that's my.
He posts NFL. He posts USFL. He posts. Yeah, he's awesome, man. He brings a lot of stuff to the board. We appreciate him.
And if you're looking for an update on Phoenix City kids specifically, follow Zuni on the board. Very tied into that area. Trust that intel very well.
I tell you what, man. In the past few weeks, we've had some really good insiders join and start posting. Got some really good stuff on the message board. Stuff that I didn't know about.
Yeah,
really good stuff. So Carmelo English. So here's who we've got. We've got Jeremiah Cobb. We've got Brock Glenn. We've got DJ Chester. At least one of us.
Yes,
said these names.
I guess that would be my wild card if we were having one of those.
Which one?
DJ Chester.
Okay. No, I didn't name him. I don't think Jhead did either.
No, it's because I think he's going to decide late. I think he's going to take visits. That's the feel I get on his.
That's the thing I want everybody to remember about this list is these are only kids that we think are going to be committed before August the 10th.
The reason I know that about Chester, Jhead, the reason I do that is because two things I've thought were true about Chester so far. He's proven me wrong twice. So I think he's really unpredictable.
No,
I would agree with that.
Not in a bad way. He's just
17-year-old kid isn't, right?
Yeah, well, that's normal.
Brock, Cobb, Chester, Josh Horton, Raquez McElderry, Jelani Thurman, Kaye Preen, Keldrick Falk, Jakeem Jackson, Carmelo English. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if Auburn gets 6 of those.
Jhead, there you go.
If Auburn gets 6, that's 8. And listen. Excuse me. You know there's a couple more somewhere.
Yes.
Well, I'm kind of with you on Jakeem Jackson. He's been kind of sneaky into Auburn.
Well, and I love the T-Bell connection on that. It just like I like the situation for the linebacker from Tampa Catholic, Lewis Carter. Yeah. I love kind of the setup there as far as that's concerned. And then I like who we're competing against for him because I think the other two big teams are Penn State and Tennessee. So if you're talking proximity to home, wanting to play within your footprint within the SEC, I like the matchup of Zach versus the secondary coach at Tennessee. Sorry, man. Willie Martinez does not scare me on the recruiting trail.
Yeah.
Where was Willie? Was he at Georgia at one point under Rick?
He was at Georgia, and he was with us for a minute underneath Van Gorder.
Oh wow. that year kind of invades my mind.
Got fired. And look, I love him, but the most iconic Philip Marshall moment of all time.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
I love PM, but that was awesome.
Dude, that is funny.
Yeah, every time. Awesome. Anybody that covered Pat Dye moving forward, but getting caught like that, God bless him, dude.
Nothing ever dies on the internet, PM.
No.
But you remember BVG? He came in. He was like Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Will a team ever score?
Huge hire. It seemed like
it was huge.
It was easily the worst defense we have had in the last 30 years.
And then what's his name with oh God, what was his name? Oh my God, he's Scott
Leffler.
Yes.
Hey, y'all know I coached Tom Brady. Wasn't that him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Back when I coached Tom Brady, yeah.
Right now, you got Zeke Pike on the field. Why don't you coach him? You know what I mean?
He's the head coach at like Temple or something, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Bowling
Green at Temple.
Okay.
But yeah, he was the offensive coordinator at Temple, then came to Auburn, and then he floated around.
Who was his quarterback for was it Kyle Frazier?
That season, it was a mix of Clint Mosley and Kyle Frazier.
Golly. That was
and at the end of the year, Jonathan Wallace, who was the saving grace of that season.
Yeah.
That was 2012, right?
Was probably the best of the three, yeah.
No question. That was terrible. And that was why Philip made that face, because Van Gorder has been giving his end of the year press conference. And he's asking him, what do you think you need to do to improve? He said, well, we need to have SEC football players on the team. That was his response.
That owns me, man. That owns me. I didn't even
know that was the question?
Yeah, that was the question. What do you think that Auburn needs to do moving forward to be more competitive? How can we field a better defensive unit? And he said, it's easy. You got to recruit SEC football players.
Just for the record, that was my video.
Was that your video?
Dude, nobody was doing video back in that day.
Hey. You took the video?
I had the shoulder mount, son, the VHS, son, with the little bitty tapes, not the big ones, but the DV2s.
I can't get enough of it.
JG will tell you this story, man. Tuberville was still here when I first started that. I was with Auburn Rivals. JG was with the Montgomery Advertiser, and my camera wouldn't pick up Tuberville because we'd all get around Tuberville, and I couldn't get the audio. So I got a mic. Well, back then I didn't know what a damn mic was. I got one of those things that you clip on your shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
So I took it and I clipped it on the end of a stick. And I reach that stick over. I go get a stick off the side of the practice field, reach that sumbitch over, and get his audio. Stick! Somebody broke my stick.
It's not a terrible idea, actually.
I thought it was ingenious, man. Ingenious. What's anything else, guys? Anything else coming or going? We've got, I think Keith, I'm going to tell you something. Keith wrote about an offensive lineman that visited on Wednesday.
Janoris
Wilson. Wilson. Yeah.
That allegedly got an offer.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him publicly claim it, but Keith talked to him. And what was his name?
Janoris
Wilson. Yeah.
Wilson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Said he's going to come back for an official visit. Little visits like that. Guys you haven't heard of.
Yeah, another guy that just put Auburn as top 10 and hopes to visit is Naquil Bertrand.
Yeah.
I said Bertrand, I think, one time, but it's actually Bertrand.
We never mispronounce names.
No,
it is Bertrand.
We don't
Please
do that.
get off the show if you're going to do that.
Yeah. I could be still wrong if I'm saying Bertrand.
It's Bertrand.
I'm acting like I have confidence, though. So
you're putting the wrong emphasis on the syllable or something, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think he's committed to Colorado as an offensive lineman. Auburn likes him as a defensive lineman. I was told.
Yes, love him. So really like that guy. I mean, man, the Colorado commitment to defensive line, he'll come in for an official visit. I thought it was Anthony James. Was that the A&M commitment?
Yes. Decommitment. Yeah.
Yeah, decommitment. Man, there's just so much going on. Auburn's going to have. They had a elite camp Monday. Are they going to have another elite camp on Friday?
Yeah, I think they're going to have the O-line, D-line elite camp.
That's right. There's some kids coming into that. Most of these camps are for underclassmen, but you've got a handful of guys like Dakar Nelson. Who else was? Oh man, poor thing. Demaj James came in. I wrote about that in the War Room earlier. He ran a 4.6. Wasn't the speed that Auburn was expecting him to have, but. I will say this: he's just 17 years old. He won't be 18 until October. He's a sophomore at junior college, so he's still a guy who's got a lot of tools that they're looking for at the wide out spot. And shit, man, you're not going to reach your peak speed at 17 years old.
What an unfortunate deal that you're already a sophomore, being so young. You still got time to develop. So
yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the unfortunate thing about his recruitment in general is he's losing eligibility on the field.
Yeah,
at such a young age,
and so immature. I mean, he's so immature.
I didn't go that far yet. Me and Chip Lindsey say it just the same way.
Immature.
Let's see. So offensive line, defensive line camp was yesterday.
Okay.
High school elite camp is tomorrow, Friday.
Okay.
Yep. I'll be there.
The 3rd. And then they'll have another high school offensive line, defensive line camp next Wednesday, I believe.
That's the one I was thinking of.
And then the 7-on-7s. You know, Tuberville used these camps more for the class, and that was back in the day when you could wait until June if somebody's going into a senior year to really make your move on them. I mean, our recruiting's so early now, so much earlier than it was when Tuberville was in town. Yeah. Who, by the way, has blocked me on Twitter.
Has he really?
Tommy Tuberville.
Wow.
Oh, Tube Steak. But it might have been one of those things where he didn't know what he was doing. But what the hell? Why would he block me?
Tubbs doesn't even handle his Twitter now. He's got his up there in DC.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, you know what? I might have called him Tube Steak with JG or something. We always called him Tube Steak. And one of his little interns in the senator office was like, "Oh, damn Democrat."
Maybe he can tell us about the how to pass a bill now, or the 3 forms of legislation. The 3 forms.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold my breath for that one.
Yeah.
So camps will be winding up, but man, Jhead, you were talking or sending us today like topics, and I was like, man, it's almost like you've got so much to talk about right now with these official visits.
Yep, there's a lot.
The 10th, the 17th, the 24th, these next 3 weekends. I mean, last weekend was quantity over quality. No, quality over quantity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One of those. Yeah. It was definitely one of those two.
There's quality over quantity. This week is both, actually.
Yeah, right. And from here on out.
Yes. And I'd say it's been quality all the way around. I don't think we've brought in one guy that's not an SEC football player. And I would be honest with our subscriber fan base or our subscriber base if I thought like, hey, man, this guy's not up to snuff. Like this guy really can't play. No, like I said, these are guys that teams in the SEC are all fighting over.
Well, that's why I was paying really close attention to Ian Jaffrard, because I don't really think they're gonna try to schedule an official visit with somebody they wouldn't consider taking. No. So they bring him in, and I wasn't sure if he was a take before that. When I saw he's coming in for an official visit, I was like, well, maybe they're leaning that way, starting to get there. It really seems like they could be after we talked to him too. So that I would just pay attention to every official visit that way. Consider them one of the highest targets on the board because that's the guys they're bringing in right now.
Sure.
Also, I would be remiss if I didn't say Kwame Evans, number 4 overall player in basketball in the 2023 class, will be in Auburn next week before our next show. KJ Evans Jr., 5-star, the number 1. That's the state. Number 1 player in the state of Maryland. Number 4 overall. The position is power forward is stacked when he's the number 4 overall, but the number 3 power forward. He's coming in June 13th, which would be Monday through Wednesday. And then Aidan Holloway, who is on the brink of a 5-star guy, is coming in the 20th. No, the 24th, I think.
Okay.
But Bay Fall and Hassan Diop are both coming in on the 20th, although some people have reported they were coming in this weekend. That I was told is not happening. It's been rescheduled to the 20th. These midweek guys for basketball, midweek visits for basketball, and will Deron Reed? No, he'll be Tuesday week, so we'll have another show before him. We'll talk about that. But anyway, hey, great stuff, man. Before we go, we want to get some how about yous in. I've got several, man. We've had a lot of new signups. Got a lot of new guys coming out of the woodwork posting. Really, really appreciate that. Jayhead, you have any this week?
So no how about yous. I did have my trivia, but we can skip that.
Oh, no, dude. No, here's real quick. For sure. Absolutely, man.
All right. So let's start with this. And what you talked about with Janoris Wilson being a lower 3-star kind of got my mind going. So we'll talk about this first. But when you hear guys like his name and a Jeremiah Tellinger who aren't highly ranked, I know a lot of guys start to be like, oh, well, we're not, we're not in on big guys and things of that nature. And we're taking some lower level scrub. I want you to think back to the first class of the Gene Chizik era, the first real class. And evaluator extraordinary Philip Riley was on that staff. We ended up taking two guys that you covered in Jeremy Richardson, who was a wide receiver.
Big time wide receiver.
Ladarius Owens, an edge player. Both were high-ranked 4 stars. Yep. Philip Lawley evaluated and begged Chizik to offer instead Jordan Matthews and an edge who went to Clemson by the name of Victor Beasley. Both ended up playing in the NFL.
Interesting.
And Matthews went to
Vanderbilt.
Vandy, and then played for the Eagles for a long time.
He was an awesome fantasy football guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. He was great.
So what I would say to everybody is apply patience sometimes and realize that some of these late bloomers are better than these guys that have been on the camp circuit for forever and have been known about. Trust the eval some. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't have a whole class filled full of those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's not going to work. But when you do take a guy like that on a coaching staff that you have that really likes to do their own evaluations, realize there's a likelihood that they could be better than the way the recruiting services see them.
Yep.
Now, to the name that coach segment, I'm going to give you guys some stats, and you tell me who you think this is. In 2009, they had the 44th ranked recruiting class. In 2010, they had the 39th ranked recruiting class. In 2011, they had the 9th ranked recruiting class.
What conference?
ACC.
So 44.
I was going to say Dabo.
That's correct.
Very nice. Very nice.
And my point to all of that is I know people are on Harsin for the transition class and where we ranked. I think we ended up being 21st that year. Last year we were 17th or 18th.
18th.
It was kind of a slow build. If you give that patience and we show some progress on the field this year, I very much see a rise like Dabo Swinney in his 3rd year for Brian Harsin, feeling more comfortable in this position. He's, you know what I mean, as a Power 5 coach in the SEC, understanding the recruiting footprint, understanding what it takes to recruit at this level. So not everybody walks in as Nick Saban. It is a slow build, but that doesn't mean that it can't turn into something that's as good as you could possibly hope for.
Yeah. That's good. Good stuff, man.
I'm going to give a big old how about you to Jhead for that.
Hey, earning my spurs here.
There you go.
All right, Jhead did not have any. He used his how about yous on some trivia.
There we go.
Cole, you got to drink a shot of fire water. You have any how about yous?
Yeah, I got 2.
All right.
I'm going to go with T-Dub Beham, who called into the call-in show. I don't know if it was this week, a week ago, I guess.
Yeah, it was two shows ago.
Yep. I'm going to give one to him, and I'm going to go back to my guy, Tyler Justice.
Oh, Tyler, still ain't calling in. Man.
Reason for Tyler is because he gave me a couple questions on my Facebook Live I did earlier today.
Oh, man.
And I appreciate it.
Did she sound hot?
Yeah. She's cool. She's always into Auburn football, that's for sure.
And for the record, I think Jhead indirectly gave a shout out. But how about you to Zuni?
Yes.
And Cole had a AU Mick BK. I'm going to go with B Stew 0702. These are for some of them were funny, but I probably can't say it on the air. At Madden God, at Big Barner Brand, at The Kid 14. And then we had some new guys come out in the past week. Magic Fingers, G Tarazi, Silent G, maybe? I don't know. Kind of sounds like paparazzi. G Tarazzi. Ooh, I got a little Italian in me. You heard that? G Tarazzi. AU Student 23. Hopefully the son of AU Student 22. Y'all remember AU Student 22?
Yeah. Big time information.
Devil Dog 2003. Marine Corps guy, man. I want to give him a big old how about you, man. He was posting in Keith's What Do You Do thread yesterday. Thought that was awesome, man. AU in SoCal. Big how about you to him. AU Lion L Men. And you said teed up. Our Dingleberry of the week, man, obviously is wrapped up by Kemosabe, but this week's honorable mention, Metaphor.
Yeah.
Metaphor, honorable mention, Dingleberry of the week. Did his best to unseat Kemosabe. Almost got there. Probably, but I'm not going to give him that code, Dingleberry. I don't think he deserves it. Kemosabe is far and away the biggest Dingleberry on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Kemosabe. All right, folks. That's
okay. He's all right.
That is 1 hour and 17 minutes. I appreciate the time we all do, man. We love doing this. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody that calls in on Tuesday night in our call-in show. Really, really appreciate it. If you're not signed up to Auburn Live on 3, this is it right here. It's basically free, man. It's $1 for 4 months, or 50% off an annual, which probably save you money in the long run. But go check us out at Auburn Live on 3. We'll see you Tuesday night on the call-in show. Get your questions ready. We'll have some answers ready. For Jhead, for Cole Pinkston, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Stay out of the left lane. See you.